And we're back. Stripe Show podcast, special Monday edition. Hope you had a good weekend. Stripe Show podcast brought to you by Encore Golf. Encore designs high-performance golf balls for players of all skill levels and swing speeds. Let's get right to it. Victor Hovland wins again. Mayakoba, that's back-to-back down there in Mexico and Mayakoba. And I'm not going to say that I predicted it, but I'm pretty sure I did predict it having Jeff Smith on Thursday, talking about what we've been seeing from Vic. He wins. Guy finished T5. His name, Matthew Wolff. Been playing some good golf, second at the Shriners. T5 at Mayakoba. And the guy that's been teaching him for a long time joins me. Special podcast on a Monday. You know him as GG. George Gankas. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Travis? How you doing, buddy? Nice to be here.
Hey, so we started the Stripe Show podcast, I don't know, 3 years ago. It started in an app, and then I parted ways with this app, and I kept the names and the rights to it. And I was like, all right, we're going to revisit this eventually. And we have, and we've striked it back up, and here we are, and we're growing like crazy. But one of my first guests at the time was this guy right here. He took some time out of his day, TPC Sawgrass. Remember, we were sitting outside there at the Marriott, and I've got my club, and I'm moving it, and you're moving me and showing the club, and I'm turning, and people are walking by in the Marriott like, what the hell are these two guys doing?
that was 3 years ago. That was quite a while ago, wasn't it?
It was.
A lot's happened since then, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, first off, you're 50. No.
I'm 50. I'm nifty, and I'm 50.
I love it. I love it. Looking good, man.
I'm officially old. I've arrived.
Yeah. Hey, 50 is the new 40. Right?
I guess so.
Where do you feel it? Like when you get up out of bed and you've done 8 or 9 lessons the day before, and the day before that you did 9, and the day before that you did 9. And you get up in those first couple steps, where do you feel it in your body?
You know, I feel it more like in my ankles. You know, I feel like pretty much, probably in the ankles, a little in like the back. And then I get up and everything's back to normal. A little dizzy sometimes when I wake up. I mean, it's definitely different. I'm sore, but, you know, once I stretch, I almost feel like normal. Almost normal.
Yeah.
You know, I think the only thing is about getting older, for me, it hasn't been my physical abilities have weakened, even though they really have, but I don't feel that. Like I'm hitting the ball as far as I've ever hit it. I mean, I can do things that I've always did. I think my testosterone's so low that I'm not aggressive anymore. It's just compared to what it was. It's like I've always been aggressive. I've always been like down to fight. And it's right now at this point, I'm way more chill. I think that's when you get older.
Yeah.
I see how that is.
Yeah, it's true. Like I feel it in my right foot. I'll get up and it's almost like my right foot's asleep. And it's almost like, you know, it's like takes like 8 or 9 steps. And then it's like, okay, I can start feeling my foot again.
You're not even 40 yet. How old are you?
I'm 40. I'm 44.
You are old. Fuck. I love it. I didn't even think you're 40 yet. You look good.
Thanks, man. You know, I mean, I've trimmed it down a little bit as of late teaching. I went every day, all day for, I don't know, 16 years, maybe.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
For teaching. Yeah. I've been teaching for 22.
What was the main course you taught at when you started?
Well, I started, you see, when I graduated college, I moved to Scottsdale, started there in 99, and then 1999. And then I went to the Northeast, and we did a lot of things up in the Northeast, for a year or so. And then I moved to Florida, the World Golf Village, back in 2001, late 2001. And then we started the tour academies, and, you know, we did that, ran all those, TPC Sawgrass for a long time. And then I came off the tee a little bit when I went to Golf Channel. And when I started at Golf Channel, that's when I did a couple days a week with them. And then I was running the academies and teaching. So I was full court press at that point. And then, after that, after Golf Channel, I started doing my own stuff. So yeah, I mean, I can remember I was telling the story up in New York, like when we were up there, we would get there at 6 a.m., set the range up, do a 7:30 and an 8:30 lesson, and then a golf school from 9:30 to 3, and then a 3:30 and a 4:30, and go home.
Damn.
Yeah, like I mean, we did that every day. Like if I did that now, I don't think I'd feel my right foot for a week.
It's my assistant Crystal, she's got me. Usually I work Tuesday through Saturday.
Yep.
I got Sunday, Monday off, but I'll start at 8 or 9 and go till normally 7 o'clock at night every day because we have lights.
Yeah.
And she's like, nah, you're getting cut back to 9 to 5. And then she's like, you know what? We're gonna go 9-4, and then if someone wants your bonus hour because they can't get in, we're just gonna charge double.
There you
go. So it's chilled things out, and I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And then she'll give me random dates off. Like this Saturday, I thought I was working. She's like, you're off. And I went and played golf. It's nice.
You went and played golf.
Yeah.
When you play golf, are you playing with people who are going to play recreationally and are not going to challenge, or like, hey dude, look at my swing. What do you think?
Every time I play, someone wants to bet me.
Okay.
Or play me, and not one time do I play with a player that's worse than a 2. Maybe even scratch.
Okay. Wow.
Like I play with guys that are this week +5, +4, +6, probably +5. It would be enjoying for me to play with some hacks. I don't mind that. It's not that I pick it. It just happens.
Yeah.
And I play with Johnny a lot, Johnny Ruiz, and
yep.
he lost this game for a year. He lost his driver. That was it. He can putt, chip, hit everything, and his driver's always been his best club, and he lost that. So he decided he wanted to coach, and now I'm playing with Johnny, and Johnny's back. He shoots like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" every freaking time. And it's a shame because he's only 27. He should be out there playing, but he loves coaching. And, he's one of my favorite guys on the planet. And it's a bummer because I'm obviously you've seen his swing, but there ain't nobody going to talk trash about his ball striking.
Yeah.
And his driver's as good as it's ever been. You don't miss fairways. So it was just a year of hitting it off the planet with the driver. He got a bad couple drivers, and I won't call out names, but they weren't beneficial to his game. And now he's back. Not to go on a tangent about Johnny, but I get to play with him a lot, and we always have games. So it's one of those things where, and I want to play. I want to play again. I want to compete, and it's one of the situations where, am I good enough to go play champions? I know I can play. Mm-hmm. The fact is it beneficial to my business as much as things are going my way to go take huge paychecks? I mean, huge pay cuts. Whether that's smart or not, or is that what I really want to do? Is it all about the money? I mean, those are the things I'm trying to figure out myself right now. Yeah. Which I think it'd be very dumb for me to go play, but I love golf. I love playing. I always have. I have a passion. That's why I always come up with new stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm always researching for my own self to better my own game.
That's awesome. See, I think there's a lot of teachers that don't play.
I just love it. I mean, I always have. I was a late bloomer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's well, I know you probably a lot of your teachers or a lot of your students would probably. They don't probably want you to go out and play because they need you for your eyes and working with them and keeping them dialed in. And, one of those guys is, of course, Matthew Wolff. And you guys know that, Wolff and Gankas are like synonymous, right? Like you guys kind of came onto the scene together in many ways, right?
Pretty true. I mean, I started my membership in 2013, 14, and he probably came to me right about the same time. A year after, maybe the same. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, pretty been together for a long time.
Yeah. And of course his swing, like I get the question a lot did George teach him that swing? I was like, no, I don't think he taught him that swing. I think Matthew had that swing. Like he's always had that swing, and George has worked with that swing and
100%.
didn't just change it to change it because it needed to be more on playing going back. So he's always worked around it. And it's one of the more fascinating swings to watch. It really is. And
there's definitely a lot of things we did do. And I think a lot of people will say, it came exactly the way it was. And I mean, I posted stuff of him when he was 13 and it was nothing like it is now.
Yeah.
The style of it was, and when I say it never was, people would think I'm disrespecting how good it was or how bad it was. Nothing against anything, just straight up. He was 13 degrees into out, 14 degrees into out. He's not anymore. Simple as that. So yes, his trigger was a little different. It was a mini trigger. That's changed. He took it less outside than he does now. He dropped in the slot. He was very dumped well into out. So there's a lot more rotation stuff, a lot more ball patterns, a lot more, things to help him rotate through the shot. Those are some of the biggest things. And creating ball patterns, understanding ball flight laws, understanding how to miss on certain pins. I mean, that's some of the stuff we've done for a long time. I mean, he was learning about ball flight laws and not crossing pins when he's 14.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what's your full 8-iron? 175. I said, what's your minimum? He's like, I don't know. I said 1 yard if you need it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You should be able to hit it from your max to there. And he took that as, okay, I'll hit an 8-iron 145. What happens when you hit this 8-iron 145 and you have a tuck left pin? Things change when you slow down. You hooked it a lot more, and then you start holding on, you start blocking it. So little things like that, we started early, but overall his swing, is his main structure. If you looked at it, would go, it's the same exact. And there are a lot of things that he did when he was a kid. Yes, 100% from baseball. Yeah. Lift his foot, cross. A lot of stuff was there when he came.
That's all. I mean, a young kid takes it back, lifts his left heel like he does. I mean, you don't see it. At least I don't see it in Florida. Maybe you see it in California more, but I mean, you just don't see a young kid. I mean, doing that on his own, right? Just naturally doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
I
think that the other coaches before wanted to change that, wanted to change his backswing. And his dad was scared when he first came to me. And he said, hey, I'm really nervous for you to get change his golf swing. He's playing decent. And I said, listen, my favorite swings are the old timers. I love Bobby Jones. I love Sam Snead. I could go on and on about all the old timers. I mean, and I loved it being crossed up. And I think that was the crazy thing. It couldn't have been a better pairing as far as what I liked and what his swing was. Maybe he could have found a different coach that was better for him. Who knows? Yeah. But the fact is there couldn't be anybody that liked what he did any more than I do. Maybe the same, but not anymore. I was like, because I love all the old swings. Yeah. I love all the old setups. I love the cross up. But on the other hand, I think a lot of people think that all I do is.
Oh, I lost you.
Yeah, that's my buddy.
There you go. You're back. Here we go. You're back.
So basically, I think that a lot of people thought that I taught one way, and it's not even about me. It's more about Wolff as what he did naturally in a lot of ways. But I loved it, and it's one of the things where if you allow it, all of a sudden you teach everybody that, and that was the funny part about everything. And it so happened that my 3 best ball strikers were Sun Kang, Johnny Ruiz, and Matt Wolff, and they all crossed it. And so everybody thought that I liked everybody to cross it, but it just so happened that I don't even barely cross. I cross it with my driver, but I don't cross it with my irons. Right. So I don't mind crossing it.
when you're working with Wolff, and you guys have obviously developed the structure, and when he's dialing in and working and hitting it well, and what are the 1 or 2 things that he kind of seems to maybe fall into, and you're like, nope, let's get back to this. Let's make sure we're doing A and B. And I don't want to oversimplify it because I know there's a lot of stuff to look at, right, in one swing. But are there a couple things that when you look at it and it's like lead arm depth, he's making a good turn in both directions. As long as he's doing like these two things things seem to be pretty tight because we all have our habits, right? We all have our things that we
100%.
fall into. For me, in my swing, man, I'll like hang left and no one's business. Like
No,
I'll just go out there.
we all do. When shit hits the fan, I don't turn and I slide.
Yeah.
And not one of my players that I teach that's any good does that.
Right.
It's just the way it's just ingrained in me. But when you watch me hit it and I'm hitting it well, it looks nothing like that. So for Wolff, when Wolff gets himself in trouble, he gets straight leg, little out, but he likes short clubs. His armpits get out in his toes. And when that happens, he can't really turn through the ball. So he'll start to hop up for balance, slow down through impact. And there's nothing more that he doesn't like than a hook. Okay. The ball could go 50 yards right and he's cool. If that thing goes a little left of his start line, he's not good. So that's pretty much what he likes. And that doesn't mean he only hits cuts either. He likes to start out right, but he doesn't like to cross over his target line. But in general, to answer your question, I think his main thing would be setup. It's always varying out towards his toes. And everybody goes, well, he's not within your parameters. He is, but sometimes he gets a little narrow with his feet. And for those of you that don't understand what I mean by narrow, that makes you taller. And if you're taller, you're going to bend over at the waist more or have to round your back or get longer clubs. So, and the problem with when you get your armpits, the back of your armpits here. So if I stood up so everybody else could see, the back of your armpits are here. You start getting out on your toes. I would challenge anybody to bend over and see if they can turn past 90 without falling over. It ain't happening. So when people get up to a certain position, you've almost looked at every grade, and you could start looking at it. If you measured from the butt up through the lower half of the back, like if I stood to where it was, you're going to find out that not one grade has been below 150. So if I was 180, it would be straight up and down. I don't know how my camera's working so bad right now. But
that's
if I
good.
stood, is this okay? So that's 180 right here. 90 would be bent over completely. So about 30 degrees of bend. Almost every one of my players has round in their back so they can reach the ball. But if you drew a line from up to the lower half of the body, almost every player is between 150 and 155 with every club. And if you look at it and you think that you can defy that, you're tripping. If you think you can get over at 140 and stay within those parameters, you ain't turning. And that means what? That every player stays with 150 to 150 who's good? No. I mean, there's guys who are on their toes trying to stand there stalled out. There's players who back away from it that are good. You look at Adam Scott was at 140, moved back to 150. I went 60 almost. He almost jumped back up 20 degrees. But people don't realize that he played it off his hosel, so he didn't throw it as he backed up. So in general, most of my players have that round, and I think that a lot of players, when I first came out and said that, I don't know why anybody even questioned it when you've got Jack Nicklaus, Sam Snead, Bobby Jones, Gary Player, Lee Trevino, on and on, all of them set up the same way that I teach. So I don't know why there would be an issue with the rounding in the back, because all that is for anybody is, if it's here, how am I going to reach the ball? I'm going to go over on my toes. So if I'm here and I round, I can reach the ball. Now, remember, just like most people say you can't turn, well, not one of my players is not titties up. Not one of them. Okay, not one of them is down here. So if you stand up and turn, and then you go into spine flexion, where are you at? You're over here. Not one of my players looks like this, okay? They all look like that. So don't misunderstand that I'm not staying in this posture, okay? I'm going into left bend and extension, and that's the obvious. So if you're already in extension, where are you going when you have left bend? Down.
Down.
Period, okay?
Yeah.
Or you're not going to turn. So it's as common sense as that. And so Wolff had the issue of not rounding, but he gets a little out in his toes, and he's such a good athlete that he'll just stay in there. That'd be one thing that we always are working on. Two is completing his turn, because if he doesn't turn, what's he do?
Side bend.
And I win every Sunday night, just so you know. You hear me?
Here, say that last part again. The last 10 seconds.
Every Sunday night is fixed, and I win every time my friend keeps calling me.
On Sunday Night Football.
Every Sunday night's fixed.
So you have the Titans.
Of course I do. Okay, yeah. And I haven't lost. I'm like 17 for 19 in the last 19 games that I figured it out. Okay, so anytime that it's obvious, guess what happens?
It goes the other way.
Go with it. Everybody chases Sunday night. Okay, and I'm not the guru of it. I'm just telling you, I'll continue to win for the rest, unless Vegas figures out what I just said. Okay, so
how do I get on this text chain? I mean, what the hell is going on?
So, well, the fact is, I've won every Sunday. Except
I know. I'm trying to get on that text chain.
All you got to do is when it seems obvious, like let's just say, the Patriots are going to blast who?
Yeah.
New England Patriots. They're coming in. They're going to Tampa Bay's going to blast them. Who do I pick? The Patriots. Okay. That's as simple as you need to keep it every single weekend, every Sunday. So back to the point. So the point I'm basically trying to sell is if Wolfie doesn't turn, he starts to tilt. Okay. Most people don't turn. Obviously, they stand up, they throw it, they tilt, they pull their arms down to get it back inside. Everybody has different matchups. You've probably heard me say it a million times, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And so if Wolf turns, he turns back through. He doesn't start to jump, doesn't start to tilt, and he plays good. So as simple as we need to keep it is turn and turn. Now, Wolf has the weakest grip on the planet, and I mean on the planet. It's like you can't see a knuckle. His lead hand's over here like this. It's confusing me because this thing's backwards right now when I'm looking at it.
Weak, but right-handed player, both hands to the left.
Both hands weak. Yeah, both hands super weak. And so the fact is, most players would be very open, and especially when they're crossed and they have any cup in their lead hand, and especially when they shell it out, it's going to be very, very open. But he flexes it for forever. He always has.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that if he did a little stronger grip, it would help him not have to flex it because he stopped flexing as much. And as soon as I did, he started flexing it less. He started adding even more cup. And I've never seen a weaker grip in my life. Like, honestly, I haven't. Especially from as good of a player as he is.
Yeah.
And so what we had to do is we had to go back to old videos and just assure him, listen, these are the main things that you've done when you're playing really, really well is, one, you shallow it out, and his shallowing started getting really narrow. So we put my G-Box on here. We put the flexor on the left hand, my new clicker thing, and we got him turning back and got back to basics. And it took probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah. So how's he looks good to me. Like, not only swing wise, but he looks like he looks happy, he's smiling and enjoying life. And I think that more than anybody, because Matthew, I don't know him. Been around him just a little bit, but he seems like a great kid, wonderful head on his shoulders, got a little personality to him. And we know there was some tough times early in the year, but he looks happy and playing well. As I mentioned, second at the Shriners, T5th at Mayakoba. He's playing in Houston this week.
First event, I think he took, I don't know. I think he took 12th at the first event of the year too, or the first event on his comeback. He came back to 12, second, 5th this week. So it's been
he's rolling.
It's been a nice little run.
Yeah, he's rolling, and he probably like a typical tour player, right? Who played well. You get a text, you're like, "Hey George, I'm hitting it like shit." You're like, "What? You just finished third. You just won, right?" Like, I don't know. Tour players, like, give us just give us a little, 60, 90 seconds here of, guys are kind of crazy, aren't they? A little bit. They're kind of a little crazy.
Well, I mean, the craziest is my boy Sun King. He's got to be the craziest. Okay. And I love the guy. I mean, he's one of my favorite guys on the planet. And the guy knows more about a golf swing than anybody should know as a player. As a player, it should be dummied down. Like, when I work with Danny Lee, he doesn't want to know shit. Sun King wants to know everything.
Yeah.
Wolff wants to know, but he doesn't want to think about anything. So there's the combo, and all my other players, if you look at like Akshay over the time that I've worked with Akshay, at this present time, I'm not working with Akshay. He'll send me his videos still, but
yeah,
Akshay is a very smart guy. He wants to know everything, but he's also got the ability to shut off. And shit, I mean, how many tour players do I still talk to? A lot.
Yeah.
The fact is, are they crazy? Yeah, I mean, I'm crazy. I love golf, and I'm always searching for new ways to make it easier to explain to people, make it more simple. Should it just be one simple thing? But for players, a lot of times they shoot low numbers and they think they played like shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, sometimes players put it in perspective really nicely, and some don't have that perspective. And I think that that's where Wolff had a little problem for a second, that he now is putting things in perspective.
Yeah.
When he's hitting it good or bad, it's now I'm hitting it pure, where he could hit it really pure and say he's hitting it like shit.
Yeah. It's important. That perspective is important.
It's very, very important.
Because you can beat yourself up and quickly wear yourself down pretty soon. Like, you just don't have a clear picture of what reality is. And, and it's like,
well, most golfers are perfectionists, as you know.
Yeah.
I mean, so a lot of them think that they should be able to do something over and over and over. And when they're not, a lot of players search for stuff. And I'm not talking about my players, but a lot of players do search for stuff. And that's down the wrong road. And you don't hear about them again because their stuff was not that bad. It's just that they want to improve on what they had. And sometimes what they had was a ball pattern. And when you take that ball pattern away to get more distance or more rotation or more of something, you start missing both ways and you start getting yourself in trouble. I mean, hitting it better, more solid and straighter doesn't mean you're going to score better. Because if you look at almost every single junior that's ever been good, superstar good, has all been a sling hooker. Almost all of them.
Right.
Wolff was. Ricky Fowler. Dude, I mean, every single junior I've ever known was a flip hooker. And as soon as they get to college, what does every college coach say? That's not going to work on tour. Well, that's funny. That's what got you here. Let's slowly change that pattern so it doesn't go from that draw that never goes right, just overhooks, to now it's going straighter, but it's missing both ways because your face is changing. Where you knew that face was always shut to that path and open to the target is a whole different system. And so you lose your ball patterns and people lose their way. It's just for a better looking golf swing.
It's fascinating, and that's one of the things that, since I brought the Stripe Show back and talking to guys like you, is that conversation of like digging in to that relationship of the coach and the tour player. I dabbled when I was teaching a lot, TPC Sawgrass. I dabbled in it, had some, I did some things, had some players, but I quickly realized, like, man, I'm not sure I'm wired for this. Like, I don't know if I can.
I don't know if I am either. I like making big changes on players. I like being on the driving range.
Yeah.
I like changing games big time. With tour players, it's a slow progression.
Yeah.
You're very careful about what you say. Most of the times they got to play. So I think it's the biggest. I think a lot of people are going to get mad at me for saying this, but at this point in my life, I don't give a shit. I think being on tour every day or every week with a player is only hurting them. I do.
Yeah.
Unless you're a performance coach, which a lot of them are. And a lot of them are technical and performance-based also. So that doesn't mean they're always doing technical. For those coaches, I think they're very beneficial to be on the tour every week. But the ones that are thinking that they're going to go change a golf swing during the week when these guys get to play, I know as much as I need to know about a golf swing. And when I start messing with one or two things before I got to go play, it's usually not a good round. It's usually when I see my ball doing one thing, like I can start it off a flag and turn it one way or another, and I see that pattern, I usually play pretty good.
Yeah.
When I'm hitting it straight and I don't have a pattern is usually when I'm like, shit, I'm thinking about motion right now.
Yeah.
And I think if we think that we can go on tour and make a guy's swing look better, I think it's just our ego saying, "Whoa, his swing looks good, or he's hitting it good."
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Like, what are we doing like out there? Like, what? And I know there's things to do, and like you can help.
Why do you think I cut back on being on tour? You think the players just didn't want to see me?
What?
Why do you think I didn't want to be on tour as much?
Yeah. Well, I know that you've never really wanted to do that, and you're kind of like me, like a range junkie out there. You want to get in there and help people improve their technique. Give me a 8 handicap and let me get in there and
get them to scratch
and rewire them and get them to scratch like that. Where they can hit shots and do things.
Fun.
Yeah, that is fun.
Don't get me wrong. I love it when Sung will call me, or I love it when Wolff calls me. Those are my 2 main guys.
Yeah.
And the other guys that call me on tour, I love it. It makes me feel good. It makes them feel good. We help each other.
Right.
The fact is that sometimes I need to step back and go, okay, I don't need to be in their business all the time. Let them play. You know what I mean? These guys got there for a reason. And a lot of people want to attach to players to, better their actual business. And people could say that about Wolff and myself. There's a mutual relationship.
Yeah.
100% on both sides of that. As far as somebody made me, Wolff always kids with that, "Oh, I made you," or "Oh yeah, you made me." And he laughs about it, but there's none of that going on. That's some BS.
Right. But I agree. You guys came out, you came out together and
came out together. 100%.
And you guys, it was good. I mean, it was cool. You had a style and a persona and a personality.
I don't have a kid, but he's like my kid. I mean, he really is. Johnny's like my kid. I mean, I got a lot of my juniors that are like my kids. I mean,
how many?
They're the best.
Let me ask you this: how many? What's the record of how many employees you've had moving a student? Like, there's some videos, Gigi, where I'm like, he's got 4 guys. There's someone holding like at their knees, their feet.
I would say
someone holding their shoulders.
1, 2 on there, 3 on the head, 4 taking it back. Probably 4 or 5, maybe 4. No, maybe 5. You know why? But 4 touching, 1 on the knee, 1 on the shoulders, and usually it's just shoulders and legs. You could just do this, but somebody was ripping the knee open. Someone's holding the head and swiveling the head open on the way through, and then someone was actually taking him back in the backswing, and then someone dropped the ball behind him like 6 inches, so their angle of attack was a little bit what do you call it? A little bit more sharp.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about what each one's doing for a second. So there's someone behind holding the hips. So they're just they're busting the hips.
So look at it this way. So if I don't put my hands on a player, I think the funniest thing is when I get coaches going unnecessary. And if anybody wants to come out with a 10 and battle me and see who can get them to swing a ball and hit it better, faster, I'll bet you anything on the planet. I'll bet you $1 million. You have no chance.
Right.
And the reason is because it's not just me. I have a team of guys that are going to move you faster than anybody. And so when you think that you can sit there and tell a player, an 8 or a 10 or a 15 or a 25, 30 handicapper, and move their body by telling them what to do, good luck. Yeah. Good luck.
Right.
So that doesn't mean that everything I do is mandatory or necessary, but I'm just telling you that if I get a player who comes over and they're swinging like this and I can move their body into a perfect position with 2 guys holding their arms and moving their legs, what are you tripping on? I know.
No, I'm not tripping. I love it. So who's peeling the knee? So you're taking the lead knee.
Yeah.
And you're peeling it away from the trail knee.
Sometimes their knees work good. Sometimes their pelvis isn't working. Sometimes their midsection isn't working. It's not always the legs, but a lot of times in the backswing, people's hips aren't turning, or their femur's not moving properly, or their kneecap, or their actual tibia-fibula, they're not moving. None of the right leg is moving properly, or their left knee is not adducting in, it's not moving in. So We'll smash it. There's different positions where we'll put it. And then when we stand up sometimes and I'm holding the left shoulder, I'll have somebody moving their right hip, their trail hip back towards center line as their shoulders go back. And sometimes we need more left bend and players are tucking that left shoulder under. And then when you do it, some people's arms get behind. So there's a lot of combinations that we're doing. But the first time I ever did it was more to pop that knee out, reflex the trail leg. And then you get guys with too much hip flexion sucking their butt in. So, I mean, there's a lot of combos. You've been doing the same thing for a long time.
So do you have is it like codes? Like you're sitting in the back, like you're the director.
Yeah. Sometimes I do this. I'm like,
like you got a guy down there and he can't come back. And you're like, it's like the third base coach, right? Like left knee.
I'm like, listen, I have nicknames for them all. Like, shit, God, get on the knees. I mean, legit, I got them all. So I'm like, do the limbo. So I'll put 2 sticks and they're on it like that. Right now, I've got 4 guys. I got Johnny out there, but Johnny's starting to teach a lot.
Dude, Johnny just shot 62. What the hell is he doing out there?
Fuck, fine now. He's too good to be teaching. I'll tell you that.
No, you shot 60.
I mean, he was on the Corn Ferry Tour, what, a year and a half, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Like, anybody who's played with him is like, bro, he lost his driver, and his driver's back better than ever. So he hadn't played a tournament, and then he went and played the one at Pebble, and I don't even know. He's like, I played like shit. I'm like, what place you take? He took 12th. Like, he played like shit, and it's his first tournament back, and there was a 2-day cut, all tour players. It's one of the things, if he wants to play, he can play. Yeah. I played with him today. He can play.
Oh, yeah. So let me throw this out at you, because I'm sure like people, let me ask you this. When's the last time you had a guy on your lesson tee that challenged you? You're like, no, I don't think so.
God, that's great. You know what? It happened probably about 4 months ago. And besides that, probably 3-4 years ago, because when I first started, I was always trying to prove myself. I would even say, I would even lie. I'd be like, listen, Butch Harmon has this drill, even though it was my drill that I just made up, just so somebody'd listen to you. You know what I'm saying? You're like, okay, I know this is right for this guy, but he ain't even gonna try it if it's just something that look at this drill I made up. Right. They ain't listening. So after a while, things started getting easier, and the more and more that people actually knew who I was as a coach, I didn't have to reference other coaches. That was different. Okay. So people didn't challenge me that I'm here to get better. I'll do whatever you say. Well, there's always, I always get players, and every time I call them out, my guys around me, my 4 or 5 guys that watch me every day, that help me out, they love it when I get one of them. And I always go, listen, and they're like, what's up? And I'm like, let me guess what you do. And they go, yeah. Well, what do I do? I go, you're a CEO. And they go, yeah. How'd you know? I'm like, because you think you're in control. You don't know shit. I say, you're a 20 handicap, and you're trying to tell me what you want to do with your golf swing. Get the fuck out of here. I'm like, are you serious right now? It's hilarious. It's like, dude, I would never come into your business and think that I could run a business. And that's the problem. Sometimes they have to step back. As soon as I say it, they chill out every time. Yeah. And it's a great lesson every time. And they love it. They love to be abused once in a while. CEOs love to be abused. They do. They love to be put in check if it's for their own good.
I remember remember golf schools, like when we first started teaching, like golf schools are like the thing, right? Like you get 12 people and you get them on the line. You got 4 on the line. You got 4 in short game. You got 4 in, I remember one guy, everything he just challenged everything I said. Everything. Didn't matter. I just like started with my mouth. And he was like, nope. So I remember we're standing on the line. This day 1 in the afternoon, 3 days school. He goes, starts challenging like on the club face. I can't remember what it was. And I said, all right, cool. And I just walked away. And I didn't say another word to him the rest of the day. Next morning, he's on the line. He's hitting balls, looking at me like waiting for me. And I'm working down the line like, get here, skip him. And finally, he's like, what's up? I'm like, no, you got
you ain't getting that.
You got it, man. You got it all figured out. Oh no, he's like trying to reel me back in, So it's funny how you just the silent treatment. That's so good. Like
it is the best.
That's the best, like for marriage, right? Silent treatment.
Justine is a silent.
It does pretty good in the course of a golf school. All right, here's one. You get challenged on this. I guarantee it. Okay. Hands up, right? And turn. Leave your hands up. Don't, right? Not down. Like, I don't hear you say down a lot. I know what you're doing. I know we've had this conversation. But is that something you get challenged on a lot with your teaching, where it's like, leave your hands up and turn?
I never get challenged by any of my players, but I get challenged by every coach. And
right.
I mean, I could go through every name and I don't even mind. I mean, Butch would be one that would say, why do you keep your legs flexed, or why do you keep your hands up? Dana Dahlquist. Jeff Smith would not be one of them. He actually was totally down. Trackman Maestro loved it. I mean, but there's a shit ton of really good coaches out there that question it. And I say, listen, here's the deal. There's a difference between down. Let me see if I can get my camera to be in a good position for my eye. So if I went up to like right about here, my arms are on the right side of my body. Okay. Is that right side to your eye?
Yep.
Looks left to me. Okay, good. I'm on opposite sides. I'm like them. So that's still on the right side of my body, correct?
Yep.
If I go up to the top, for me, my arms are on the right side of my body. Now, does that mean I want to pull my arms down behind me here, behind my seam line, or do I want to move them back in front? Is there a difference? Huge difference. Yeah. Okay. My arm's in front of me. Okay. Then I get down in my stance. That's where I'm at. That's a huge difference. But was there a pull down of that move? Was that a pull down? No. So when my legs get into a position where I'm here, I have to pull them down. That's what the definition of getting pinned. Okay. But if I went up into a position, had depth, my shoulder wasn't out of its socket, it was in its socket, and I started to rotate around and didn't slide, where would my arm go? It bounced right off my chest. Now, I could also, as that happened, get my arm to be like this. I could, or I could pop it back in front, and then it's going to spring where? Right off my chest. So it's going to go boom, and then it's going to jump off my chest. Now, what my arm's doing, my trail arm, is highly dictated by my club face. If my face was shut, where would my arm want to move? Want to move a lot more. If my face is open, it's almost always going to want to move that way. So dictated by face and what you've done prior to all these actions are hugely different. So if you want to go up here, and not you personally, and pull your arms down and then turn, be my guest, you're going to get roped on by everybody who does it. Now, when you see someone like Bryson DeChambeau doing it on the range and everybody starts jacking him off, I start laughing because he doesn't do that in his swing.
Right.
It's hilarious. He's up here, and if anything, he's a little steep. His arms like this. He's up. It's like blocked up on his chest, just like Rory, just like DJ, just like anybody who's awesome at golf. Anybody who smashes the ball, not one long driver, you're going to see him doing this shit. So I look at Josh Koch, and Josh Koch goes, why do people keep telling people to pull him down? Well, does that mean that you can't pull them down? It just means, just like anyone who says someone's hips are too fast, just means you don't know shit about a golf swing. That's all it means. So when you say your hips are too fast, no. When I see a player going, you got to get your arms down, that means that you never had your hips go back. And all of a sudden they fire, your hips have gone back 20 and your shoulders have gone back 90 or whatever. And all of a sudden they have a head start, or you start to slide them, just means that now all of a sudden, let's get your arms down so they don't get stuck. Now, how about fix your pivot in the backswing and then get things sequenced? That'd be the proper way to do something. And that's what makes me laugh, is when somebody goes, oh, your hips are too fat. No, you only turn them 20 and your shoulders are 90 and you slid and spun. Okay. Right. Now you're stuck. So your coach goes, get your arms down first, because I don't know how to fix your real golf swing, because that's the easiest equation.
Yeah.
That's something that makes me laugh. Mm-hmm. It does. And that's me being a dick, but I don't care. At this point in my life, I don't care. And you didn't do it to me. I just laugh because people do it all the time. They say, hey, why do you leave your arms up? Why do you do this? And then I challenge them. I'm like, listen, I love the right leg to be flexed. Okay. I like it to extend. Okay. But how much do I extend? And I tell people, I said, Butch is like, why do you want your leg to extend. And I said, well, all the greats did. He goes, well, Tiger Woods didn't. And I said, well, yeah, but he also has a hurt back. Okay. That was one of them. Okay. If you look at a player extending their trail leg, which I mean, stack and tilters, you're originally not saying you're a stack and tilter or you're against it, because I'm not either way. All I'm saying is, if I extended my leg, I have full range of motion. If I go into a flex leg, what am I going to do? I'm going to extend up right away. I'm going to use it. Okay. I'd rather extend it, reflex it, use it through the ball. That's just the sequence of, if I'm going to jump, I'm going to extend, flex, extend. Okay. Simple as that. So I tell players, don't lock it, but lock it first and then flex it until you can feel something in your quad and your glute here. Then we're loaded. But you don't want to lock it and you don't want to keep it flexed, because you're never going to get any turn or depth. So there's a happy medium of both of them. I know already, but I think a lot of people think that there's some certainty of everything in the golf swing, and there's so many ways to get away with shit, as you know, that's why there's so many good players on tour that have so many different things they do.
Right.
Face, pivot, everything. So yeah, I do get challenged on the leaving the hands up, and I'm sorry I went on a tangent. But
no, it's good. It's accurate. I mean, we've talked about it before, and I mean, tour players, it's a different conversation. But when you're dealing with the mid handicap and they're pulling down with a ton of extension, and the shaft is steep and the face is open. It's a double whammy, right? With the pull down with them. And
some people have to pull down though. Some people have to. They're out of position. They have no turn. They have to get it back. There are some people who do have to pull it down 100%. Yeah. And some people are instinctive. I mean, there's going to be something that moves. I always say that in the downswing. If I don't have the ability to track the ground, okay, then my first move is going to be with my hands. So that means that if I'm over here like this, let's just say I'm over here, by the time I get back to where I've got pressure left, my arms are going to be coming down. If I had, whether I moved off here, recentered, or I just stayed like the old timers, whatever you like, I don't care. The point is, as soon as you start to rotate, your hands don't have chance to pull down. If you're tracking the ground properly, they don't have a chance to do anything manually. They're going to do what they do. They are. Yep. Okay. And if you're thinking about your hands and your arms and the rest, you can do that. It's just, tell me, do you think one long drive guy's doing that?
No.
Fuck no. They don't even know they have arms. Okay. They're trying to extend up.
Yeah.
They know that their hands are getting high, but after that, I'm unloading. So, and yeah, there's a lot of guys who are pulling their arms down on tour, and that's okay. Do it. But don't think that that's why they're good.
No. No. Yeah, it's fascinating. The conversation with a tour player is totally different than a lot of the audience that's listening to this with that, 10, 12, 14 handicap, looking to take something away. This is entertaining and fun to listen to.
If we were looking at that and we're doing instructional compared to me just talking shit, yeah, I mean, for higher handicaps, you can all do it. You just got to get your foundation right. I mean,
well, let's put it this way: when you take someone and you teach them change of knee flex, give them a little extension, a little left bend, all of a sudden the swing just lengthens out beautifully. Get a little depth. Get the face square. Now all of a sudden, and you show them that, you're like, look, that's you.
Instinctively, they start to just do it.
They just start to do it. That's right.
You're right. I mean, that's where I start out. I start out with the pivot in the back. Start with the setup first. I start to turn them and extend them, like you just said. I get that they start getting natural depth with that. They learn to fold their arms a little better. They learn to flex it, or if they already have a strong grip, they can keep it where it's at, wherever it is, to get the face, like you said. And then from there, it becomes instinctive for a lot of them.
It does.
And then you fine detail them. I mean, with leaning the shaft a little more, with more rotation. There's just a lot of you can detail out what it feels like, doing little half shots and all the rest. But they're all doable. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then you show them their backs, and they're like, damn, oh man, my back's in. I haven't taken it back that far since I was 20.
Exactly. And they can all do it. I agree. I see it every day. I don't post before and afters of older people because I feel, I mean, if I was starting my business, I would do that all day. And then I'd get more 30, 40 handicappers, 20, 30. Everybody, oh, you're gonna. But if I start doing before and afters of 20 handicappers, I'm going to have a lot of them. It doesn't mean I don't like 20 handicappers. If you 20 handicappers want to come see me, I love you. I'm just saying I don't need all 20 handicappers. I like a diversity of every handicap. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I mean, you gotta teach them all. I mean, or young teachers that are getting in, you gotta teach them all. You gotta tell people like, go get yourself some beginners, go get yourself some 25 handicaps, do some golf schools, do some clinics, get yourself some single digits, develop a junior player into college, develop that college player into mini tour, get yourself a tour player. Like
I think that is the foundation for a coach. You're right.
You got to do it all.
Starting with the juniors, getting them good, getting them to a certain thing, getting them to play at a certain level, get them through college and all the rest. I mean, I think that's the foundation that needs to go. And then you go on whatever route you want from there.
Yeah. That's right. And then find your niche. What do you want to do? My niche was like, I liked working with junior players into college. That was my deal. Like I could develop them. And
I think that's the best business to be in.
Yeah,
I do. I think the juniors and college is the best business. And it was my business for a long time until I changed my rates.
Yeah.
And I had to change my rates. I just did because I was booked over a year.
Too busy.
It was one of the things but I do miss having all the juniors. And
yeah.
People go, oh, you don't teach juniors. Yeah. But I'm like,
yeah,
I can teach juniors all day. That's
right.
When I get a junior, every one of them's a badass.
Yeah.
They all are. And the fact is, I just don't get to teach a lot of them because of price. And maybe I should have a discount for them, but at this point,
you're 50, man. You don't need to teach more. Like you're in the scaling business, right? You got to scale.
The scale of time.
Spend more time with your wife, right? Who I'm taking time from you, her right now. So I don't want to take any more of that time, right? My wife's up there. Like I'm on the East Coast. You're on the West Coast, right? What is it? It's 6:41 there, right?
We'd just be sitting here watching the Sunday Fix. Anyways, and you are going to remember that. You could text me every Sunday. And
what's the score?
I don't even know, but I guarantee you Tennessee's killing them because it's LA. The Rams should win by 30. I think that what is the score, Justine? Do you know? It's not on right now. We'll figure it out. But I guarantee you Tennessee wins. Anyways, so what else? Everything's good in your life?
Yeah, everything's good. I think we should just anytime you want to come on and just vent and just give me the topic and I'll just,
I feel like I vented more than hopefully people.
No, it's good. I mean, it's
entertaining. I don't know.
No, this is good. This is the way it should be. I mean, right? Like we're talking about the meat and potatoes of the swimming, the modern game. Like, let me finish with this. Like we're seeing now next 10 to 15 years, what we've seen in the last 5, like we're seeing these kids come out. They've been taught on TrackMan, launch monitors. They've been taught speed. They've been taught in a way that was very different than the way you and I were taught when we were younger. We've talked about it. Turn the upper, not the lower. Bump, side bend. Wasn't a swing really built for speed. Wasn't really a swing built for accuracy, for that matter. It was just kind of a swing.
It really wasn't built for anything.
That was the way it was, right? And that's the way you were taught, and you kind of filter through it. And guys like yourself, and we were talking about Chris Como, who's been on, and others, and biomechanics. Kind of got back to the roots. I told Lucas Wald, who I know you're good friends with. I told Lucas, I said, I think the long drive guys have done a great thing for our industry.
I agree. I think I don't think Jamie Sadlowski gets enough credit for being an originator of recognizing the way the pelvis works the proper way, rather than having to slide. And this is a baby tangent that I'm about ready to say, but for a long time we saw players that would slide that had a lot of speed, but they were also big humans.
Yeah,
they weren't small people. So all of a sudden people go, oh, that's the way to generate speed. Look at him. Look at his legs slide forward. And I just laugh at it. I'm like, that's not why he's got speed. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
When I see a little person like an Akshay swinging at their weight, or when I see one of my little juniors that weighs 110 and they're swinging at 120, that's what I want to see what's going on. I'm like, dude, this is a freak.
Yeah.
What's he doing? And that's Jamie Sadlowski. He's a freak. And the fact is it's not as freaky now because people are doing it. They're watching him and they're realizing that there's not a slide. There was just a lot of different groundwork, the way the arms worked up top, how big the turn was, how much the extension went, how you moved into the ground, how you actually rotated. Are you getting your lead hip outside your foot line and trying? No, hell no. Tell me one guy that smashes it that did that was not gigantic. Right.
Yeah, I think they've done a great. I think they've really helped our industry a ton. I really do. I think it's
helped. I mean, and I even love. I mean, Kyle Berkshire. Shit, his action's pretty sick too.
One of my favorite moves is that Humpty Dumpty, man, back and forth like he does. Love that.
It is good. I mean, it's great for a trigger to just move around. Yeah. I mean, once we start working on our golf swing, we forget about a trigger.
Yeah.
Everybody has one. Everyone has one.
It's good stuff.
Let's see. Oh, 21.
What's the score?
21-3.
Titans
at LA, in LA, exactly. Sunday night fix. Just remember, every Sunday night.
So you guys are gonna have dinner tonight? Yeah. Are you like red wine guy, steak? What are you, George?
No, Justine. What time is it? 6:46. No, my wife and I, we have a bet on body fat.
Oh.
So we all started with a certain body fat, and it was pretty high.
Okay.
And we have a couple other our good friends, Robert and Rosie. They're married. I decided to take Rosie as my partner. No, I didn't want you as a partner. And my wife didn't want me as a partner, she said, but I picked Rosie before. And with our combined body fat for 10,000 a couple. So we decided that was motivation until Thanksgiving.
Wow.
10,000 a team. So just a little motive. What? Per person.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not. You guys decided to go down and be cheap.
I didn't. You know I wouldn't do that.
Said 5,000.
So my wife's saying that I said something, but it's okay. That's usually she always wins. So listen. So yeah. Anyways, back to the point. I'm actually, I wouldn't say dieting, but I'm working out a bunch.
Yeah.
And we're eating different. So
we got time now. You're on the lesson tee like 12 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, that's debatable. So yeah, so I'm not eating what I'd like right now for the last 2 months.
Yeah, it sucks.
That does. I got till Thanksgiving, and then I'll go back to just being normal again.
Yeah.
At this point, and listen to my wife over there too. She's the like little peanut gallery over there. She's a commentator. You want to come in on this? No. He wants to ask you a couple questions.
She probably could teach for you. She'd probably be your best damn assistant after sitting and listening to you for years and years.
It's amazing when she acts like pretends like she's me. It's hilarious.
Oh, man.
You give her a couple drinks and she could imitate me all day.
I've seen it in your story. It's awesome. It's great. It's great. All right. Good stuff, man.
Well, thank you for having me.
Gonna have a win soon. George Gankas. Go follow him at George Gankas Golf Instagram. You know where he's at. All right. We got your website. You've got your new devices out as well. G-Snap, G-Box.
In the shower. I got three of those, and then I got the George Gankas Golf membership. But yeah, I'm excited about the G-Snap coming out next month.
Did you ship me one?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I can't wait to get it.
You just, when we get off, just send me your address.
Okay.
And tell me what you think.
All right.
Is that George, a Seattle? Is that a Mariner hat?
No, it's the Kraken.
Oh, okay.
The new hockey team.
Dude, my eyes are so bad.
See, I love the fact that the Rams are getting beat because you're talking to the biggest Seahawk fan in the world. Yeah. So
Are
and the
you?
Rams are much better than we are, but the fact that they're getting beat is pretty sweet. And the Titans, I was in Seattle.
Titans are good, so it's not that big of an upset. It's just that everybody thought they were going to crush them tonight.
Yeah.
The Rams at home.
Yeah, you might be onto something here. I'm gonna text you next Sunday. I'm texting you next Sunday, an hour before the kick.
It's not a might. It's every Sunday.
Oh,
And it's been happening when I bet, it's been happening for 10 years, and I was just too stupid to figure it out. I'd lose every Sunday night, and then I started going, all right, I'm done. Anything that's so obvious on Sunday,
other way.
other way.
It's been a weird day in the NFL. Jacksonville
NFL has,
Jacksonville
Sunday nights aren't weird.
beat the Bills today. Figure that one out. George, you're the man, buddy. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Have a great night. Peace.